It's closing time at the museum, but you don't have to go home just yet. Stay the night at some of these awesome attractions and enjoy exclusive access to their many wonders. 1. Natural History Museum, London, England. Kids can get into the dinosaur spirit in the shadow of the giant T-Rex at the Natural History Museum in London. Guided by torchlight, they'll follow a trail through the museum before joining a dinosaur t-shirt making workshop. There's a grown-up version too, with dinner, drinks, live music, comedy and an all-night monster movie marathon. 2. International Spy Museum, Washington, D.C., U.S. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to undertake Operation Secret Slumber at Washington's International Spy Museum. Adults and children alike will have after-hours access to the museum's exhibits, go on espionage missions and get the chance to interrogate a real spy. You'll get bedtime snacks and breakfast before one last mission and your final debrief. 3. Taronga Zoo, Sydney, Australia. Go on a nighttime safari through Taronga Zoo and wake up to fabulous views of Sydney Harbour Bridge and Sydney Opera House. The zoo's roar and snore nights give you close-up encounters with some of the cutest animals as well as luxury camping and a buffet dinner. 4. National Baseball Hall of Fame, New York, U.S. Families of baseball fans can indulge their love of the sport with a night at the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, upstate New York. Spend the night amid the artifacts of the sports heroes and have a go on the hands-on exhibits before settling down to a baseball movie and a late-night snack. 5. National Marine Aquarium, Plymouth, England. Sleep with the sharks at the National Marine Aquarium in Plymouth, where you can see what the marine world gets up to while other humans sleep. Take a twilight tour of the aquariums, play games and get creative in a craft workshop. And just before your midnight snack you get to watch a big screen movie in front of the Eddystone Reef tank. 6. Natural History Museum, New York, U.S. Follow in Ben Stiller's footsteps with your own night at the museum in the American Museum of Natural History where the 2006 New York comedy took place. Instead of a starry cast you'll be among bats, wolves, dinosaurs and an enormous blue whale. Watch a 3D film and go on a fact-finding fossil mission by torchlight before your evening snack and a night in the halls. 7. Chelsea Football Club, London, England. Young fans of Chelsea Football Club won't have to tear themselves away from the football pitch during the London club's regular sleepovers. They'll get to spend the night in the club's museum at Stamford Bridge after exploring the dressing room, walking through the players' tunnel and having their own five-a-side match. 8. Wellington Zoo, New Zealand. Once the other visitors leave, sleepover kids get their own behind-the-scenes tour of Wellington Zoo. Help with the nighttime feeding of the animals before snuggling in your sleeping bag next to the monkey enclosure. When morning comes, you'll see how the zoo gets ready for the day before the doors reopen. 9. Eden Project, Cornwall, England. If a day in the world's largest captive rainforest isn't enough, extend your stay close to the Eden Project's biodomes by sleeping in the on-site hostel made from recycled shipping containers. The hostel echoes the Eden Project's eco-friendly ethos but has modern conveniences. If you really want to get back to nature, pitch a tent in the nearby campsite. 10. Busch Gardens, Tampa, U.S. Get a gang of 20 kids together, plus 2 adult chaperones, for a group sleepover at Busch Gardens in Tampa. Once the gates close at 6 p.m., groups have a choice of options for an entertaining overnight stay. Have a pajama party by the Tiger Lodge, or take an early morning drive to the Serengeti Plain and hand-feed the giraffes and antelope. 11. Hamleys, London, England. Kids will have their own unforgettable toy story to tell after a night in one of London's oldest toy shops. Book a Hamleys Dream sleepover for 10 to 15 children and they'll get the run of the 7th floor shop on a VIP tour and the treasure hunt. Late night feast, breakfast, entertainment and a luxury goodie bag all combine to make this a fantastically extravagant and expensive place for a birthday party. 12. Sirogano Open Air Museum, Serbia. Deep in the mountains of western Serbia is the country's only open-air museum, where you get a taste of rural 19th-century life in the authentic wooden tiled houses of Sirogano's ethno-village. Once everyone leaves, you can enjoy the rustic life in one of the village's simple wooden cabins, but they're not so simple that they don't have kitchens and bathrooms. 13. Mona, Hobart, Australia. They like things a bit kooky at Tasmania's Museum of Old and New Art, Mona for short, and that extends to any overnight guests. Once you've had a good look around this cutting-edge gallery, spend the night in one of its neighboring luxury pavilions filled with original works of art from the gallery. These 6 state-of-the-art apartments are a stylish way to soak up contemporary Australian art. 14. Canada Aviation and Space Museum, Ottawa, Canada. Kids who can't get enough of flying can sleep under the wings of vintage military and civilian planes at the Canada Aviation and Space Museum in Ottawa. They'll get a guided tour of the museum by torchlight and have lots of hands-on activities before taking in a movie and a late-night snack. 15. HMS Belfast, London, England. It's not quite an adventure on the high seas, but a night on HMS Belfast on the Thames in London will be exciting enough. School and youth groups of at least 20 youngsters sleep in sailors' quarters and learn how this immense warship played an important part in the D-Day landings. They'll hear individual sailors' stories and get a private tour of the captain's deck. 16. National Archives, Washington, D.C., U.S. Children can surround themselves with history by spending the night near America's national treasures, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. The National Archives in Washington, D.C. has various themes for sleepovers, including space travel and a scavenger hunt, and you even get an official archivist making you pancakes for breakfast the following morning. 17. Royal Ontario Museum, Toronto, Canada. Get close to your favorite exhibits in Toronto's Royal Ontario Museum once the doors officially close. Children will have exclusive access to the hands-on displays and will even be able to touch artifacts that are usually off-limits. Before you curl up in your sleeping bag under the giant dinosaur, belt out a few songs in the karaoke pajama party. 18. Berat Castle, Albania. Walk around the imposing fortress in the Albanian town of Berat and you'll step back more than 2 millennia. Berat Castle's beguiling mix of Byzantine and Ottoman architecture includes a museum, more than 20 Orthodox Christian churches and the Red Mosque. Unlike at most fortresses nowadays, people still live within the walls, and you can too by staying at the cozy and cute Hotel Clee. 19. Science Museum, London, England. Families can bed down under the Science Museum's enthralling exhibits during the science nights held throughout the year in London. There's plenty of hands-on fun with the exhibits, science shows and activities, as well as an IMAX movie. It's a huge event with more than 400 campers at a time, so grown-ups might want to bring earplugs. 20. San Diego Zoo Safari Park, California, U.S. San Diego Zoo's Roar and Snore Nights have something for all age groups. Families with young children can gather around the campfire after a moonlight walk through the zoo and a ride on the Africa tram. Adult-only groups learn secrets about animals that are meant for grown-up ears only, and there's lots of nocturnal fun in store for Girl Scouts and school groups. 21. Sea Life Minnesota Aquarium, Minnesota, U.S. Sleep undersea with a night at Sea Life Aquarium in Minneapolis's Mall of America. Family groups can pitch their sleeping bags in the sea tunnel and watch giant marine creatures glide through the water above. You'll get a night hike through the aquarium as well as a behind-the-scenes tour and even a pizza party. 22. USS Lexington, Corpus Christi, Texas, U.S. This massive aircraft carrier was used in WWII against the Japanese, and nowadays the USS Lexington invites children to camp overnight and learn all about the ship's distinguished past. Kids can roam the 11 levels of the ship on a scavenger hunt, hear ghost stories, watch an IMAX movie and sleep in the crew's original quarters. 23. Philadelphia Zoo, Pennsylvania, U.S. Take a late-night wander through Philadelphia Zoo, where the animal enclosures will be kept open just for overnight visitors. Zookeepers will show you around and get the kids busy with all sorts of crafts and activities before everyone beds down for the night in the magical setting of the treehouse. You'll think you've landed in a fairy tale. 24 Australian Museum, Sydney, Australia. Discover Australia's prehistoric past during nocturnal encounters with crocodiles, fossils and the country's own native dinosaur, the Mudburasaurus. Enjoy a buffet dinner and a screening of Night at the museum, naturally, before cuddling up to a Stegosaurus. After you've had your breakfast on the rooftop cafe overlooking Sydney Harbour, take the time to explore the museum's special exhibitions. 25. Warwick Castle, England. More than 1,100 years of history await at Warwick Castle, where time flies as you traipse through its turrets, towers and dungeons. If you really want to get into a medieval mood, you can stay the night in a woodland lodge or themed tent. But if that's not glamorous enough for you, book one of the sumptuous rooms in the 14th century Caesar's Tower and revel in its regal splendor. 26. Georgia Aquarium, Atlanta, U.S. Get ready for an underwater adventure at the Georgia Aquarium once everyone else has gone home. Take a guided tour of the aquarium and get to know the marine life that will be swimming all around you. It's not just for kids. The adults version features a cocktail party, and all the sleepovers include dinner. 27. Natural History Museum, Los Angeles, U.S. A wild night is in store when you sleep over at LA's Natural History Museum. The African Mammal Hall and the giant dinosaur exhibits are impressive enough, but they'll look even more stupendous after dark when you'll be allowed to roam on your own. If that whets your appetite, you can do the same among the Ice Age exhibits of L'Abri tar pits less than 8 miles away. 28. Franklin Institute, Philadelphia, U.S. It's not every day you get to sleep beside a locomotive or a giant heart, but the Franklin Institute's Camp-In Sleepovers give children's and adults-only groups a night of science shows, hands-on workshops and exclusive tours, not to mention a chance to gaze at the stars from the rooftop observatory. 29. Wilderness Center, Egilsstaðir, Iceland. Delve into Iceland's past at the Wilderness Center, where the museum recreates life in this far-flung eastern part of the country. Better still, sleep in one of the rustic rooms in a wooden farmhouse that's furnished in rural 19th century Icelandic style. You'll also be on hand for hiking and horse riding tours of this remote landscape. Time your visit for the summer and you can ride in the midnight sun. 30. Field Museum, Chicago. Spend the night dozing with the dinosaurs at Chicago's Field Museum and see how science comes alive. Families with kids aged 6 to 12 are taken behind the scenes by torchlight and even get to play musical instruments from around the world. Once everyone's tucked up in their sleeping bags, it's time for after-dark storytelling.